Hello and welcome to another Enough Already podcast. My name is Fingers Malloy. Tracy L. Connors is here. Good morning, Tracy.
Good morning, Fingers.
We want to welcome all of our listeners in the United States and our international listeners who check out the Enough Already podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, and where all good podcasts are sold, and also our viewers who watch us on BitChute and YouTube, thanks to the 20-person crew that Tracy L. Connors has put together to film this extravaganza. We have a lot to get to today. We can talk about Jussie Smollett, Julian Assange, which is really fun to say, Tracy. Assange. Sometimes I'll just be driving down the road.
No.
All by myself, and I'll go, Assange? Just by myself. Because it sounds weird if you are by yourself or just with a group of people and you're just mumbling Assange. It's weird, but it's fun. It's like saying onomatopoeia. Some words are fun to say. But we have to begin with President Trump and this whole controversy regarding what to do with migrants. Is that what we're calling them?
Nope.
Tracy? No, what are we calling them?
I'm calling them illegals.
Illegal immigrants or illegal aliens? I like illegal aliens.
Yes. Aliens. I don't know if you know this, Fingers, but if you are a resident alien or a legal alien, you actually have a card that says that on it. It uses the word alien.
Who issues that card?
The United States government.
How could they use such an offensive term, Tracy?
I don't know. But I never saw that come up in any conversation about how absurd it is that we're calling these people illegals and aliens. But they usually harp on the illegal part of it, though, and it's always, oh, nobody's illegal. Well, right. Should we call them criminal aliens? Would that make you feel better? Or would you find something to yell about? Oh, we can't call them criminals. Well, they've broken the law if they're here illegally. So that goes to, too, the crime rate of illegal aliens is much less than the general population. By definition, every one of them has committed a crime.
Right.
So their crime rate would be way higher.
And even if their crime rate is lower than the general population, why are we all for importing crime to begin with?
I don't know.
The whole thing is daft. Well, anyway, the president this week was apparently spitballing some ideas. And it got out during his spitballing session that it was it his idea or someone in his inner circle?
I can't tell you because this broke in the Washington Post, which is behind a paywall, and I refused to pay them.
Right.
My understanding is this was just kind of like a brainstorm session that happened. So I'm not sure if they actually said this came out of the mouth of so-and-so in the piece. But the headline was, oh, Trump wants to dump all these illegals in sanctuary cities. But then if you read into the story later down far enough in that most people are already bored, it says, no, this was just kind of an idea that was floated in a discussion about ways to handle the current situation.
No, it's going to happen next week, Tracy.
Well, now it might.
The Department of Homeland Security has come up with mobile cages that they're going to throw families in. And in some sort of Holocaust-like train of cages, they are going to ship these people to sanctuary cities.
You know what it is, Fingers? It's the FEMA trailers.
The FEMA trailers. You heard it here first at the Enough Already podcast. We have inside sources, and it's inside the Trump administration, and that's the plan. Now we're just spitballing.
Sure.
That's what we're doing. And so this story, faux story, non-story, breaks the Washington Post. Are they the ones who first started circulating this spitballing session?
And reporting it as real. This is a thing that they're actually going to do.
And everyone freaks, including Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, whose district I believe is in part of a sanctuary city.
The whole state is a sanctuary state, is it not, California?
Oh, you're right. You're right. So she freaks out, which I don't understand why she would freak out about this. I would think that she would welcome the folks. Bill O'Reilly calls them the folks, the illegal alien folks. She would welcome them to her district with open arms. What's the problem?
I think. I don't know.
So he is the president of the United States. Our friend Sarah Smith likes to call him President Apprentice. The president of the United States is a master troll. And once this story broke, it went from spitballing to, yeah, maybe we are considering this. So,
and I think of like if you have a sibling or someone that's close to you that you know how to rile them up, and you just kind of start tweaking a little bit, and then they react, and you're like, ooh, I can get them to go even further if I just push this a little bit farther. And so imagine in this situation, Trump not only has one sibling, but he's got hundreds of them. Every single Democrat member of Congress and almost all of the media are in that camp where they can just be wound up and then let go. And it's so much fun to watch it happen. Why not? Why not ratchet it up?
Well, and it's also a refreshing diversion from the Russia collusion discussion, which we're still trying to breathe life in, apparently, on cable news now that this whole Assange thing went down. We'll get to that in a little bit. But it continues to amaze me how the messaging seems to be effective, at least as far as cable news goes, that they try to blur the line between legal immigration and illegal immigration. And if you are somehow against the idea that there should be people in your city that everyone knows is breaking the law and not following the rules, and you should be cool with it, but if you are expected to follow the rules, if you point that out, that it's not fair, you're a racist.
Of course. Well, what other defense is there?
There is none.
No, this is the people that have been screaming that we have a lawless president are in a really tough position now, defending sanctuary cities, which is by definition lawlessness, right? They're thwarting the federal laws here. So this is so much fun. I'm loving all of this unraveling in front of our very eyes, how ridiculous and absurd the federal government has become at this point in time.
And now you're seeing the right turn the whole sanctuary city thing in their favor when it comes to the Second Amendment. And county sheriffs in states like Colorado saying, okay, we're going to have a Second Amendment sanctuary county, and we are not going to enforce any state or federal gun laws that we believe are unconstitutional.
Right.
And flipping it over and throwing it back in the left's face. And then it's going to be interesting to see how that's handled as we move forward.
Well, I'm in favor of anything that's taking away power from the federal government.
Yes. Totally agree with you. Now, part of the discussion regarding illegal immigration is, regarding what has been happening at the border. And Jake Tapper from CNN did a fact check. That's fun to do, too. I when I'm driving alone in my car, I like to go fact check and Assange at the same time. It's a lot of fun. I have a lot of free time, Tracy.
All right. Well, let's listen to Jakey's fact check here.
Okay.
And for those of you who can't see the headline, it's a fact check. Did Obama start the family separation policy? Here's Jake Tapper to tell us all about it.
Hey, everybody, it's Jake Tapper from CNN State of the Union and factcheck.org. And this week we're going to take a look at some claims made by President Trump about one of his favorite topics to discuss, illegal immigration. First, let's start with some comments that President Trump just made about the family separation crisis that his administration caused in 2018.
I'm the one that stopped it. President Obama had child separation. President Obama separated children. They had child separation. I was the one that changed it.
Is that true? No, that's not true. Now, it is true that under previous administrations, including the Obama administration, sometimes children were separated from their families.
How does that work, Fingers? When you say, is that true? No, it's not true. Well, it is true that under previous administrations, including the Obama administration, children were separated from their families. This is where I tuned out. I mean, I did watch the whole fact check, but I'm not going to make our audience sit through that garbage because that's insane. Somebody wrote that and he read it and everybody thought it was a good idea.
It's like someone looking at me, and this isn't true, but we'll run with it. Getting on the internet, finding out that I have a criminal record for robbing a bank, saying, here you go, Fingers, this is your criminal record, you robbed a bank, and me saying, that's bullshit, I've never robbed a bank, but let me tell you about the time I robbed a bank. It's right there. Now, look, it's true that the Trump administration ratcheted things up when it comes to things. It was zero tolerance policy. But from my understanding, and this may surprise you, I'm not an immigration expert and I've never been a border control agent. But the whole reasoning behind separation is because a lot of people are smuggling kids across the border. I'm saying smuggling kids across the border, claiming to be parents as part of sex trafficking, and they aren't actually the kids' parents.
That's part of it. And then there's also, you don't want adults and children in the same detention facility because that creates other issues.
Right. So, look, I love the beginning of the video where before he even gets into fact checking, it has the title of the video, his misstatements on illegal immigration. I really, at this point, and unfortunately, this isn't fair to Jake Tapper, even though I do believe he's part of the problem. Just because of what has happened over the past 2.5 years regarding CNN's coverage of the Russian collusion hoax, their credibility is shot with me. So any fact-checking they have going on over at CNN, in my mind, is completely irrelevant. They made Michael Avenatti a household name over at CNN. Avenatti?
Yes.
Avenatti? Avenatti?
Avenatti.
Avenatti? Avenatti?
Avocado.
Is that Italian?
Yes, it is.
I believe it's Italian for Lionel Hutz. He's the real-life Lionel Hutz for you Simpson fans out there. I'm sorry. They paraded that cat out as some sort of expert when all he really was a pit bull attacking Donald Trump on a regular basis, and they had him on repeatedly for that purpose to help score political points against Donald Trump.
Right. Well, it's kind of like our anchors can't possibly say this stuff on air, but who can we bring on to say the things we wish we could say? Oh, I know, that creepy porn lawyer guy.
Right.
He's great. He jumps in front of cameras faster than Chuck Schumer does.
It's true. So they've lost all credibility. So God bless you, Jake, for the fact check. But the first 30 seconds when you say it's true that the Obama administration did do this, well, that's what the president said.
Yeah, so you can end your fact check right there.
Now, to go for, I don't know, are they still doing the family separation stuff?
I believe
at
so.
This point? To the scale that they were when the initial freak out happened? I don't know. I'm not keeping track. I mean, there's a new distraction every day. There's a new tweet that we have to cover. Now the latest is we're trying to get the proper definition of the word spying. So, and meanwhile, I believe the governor of Virginia is still the governor of Virginia, right?
He is. And the lieutenant governor is still the lieutenant governor.
I predicted that a couple of months ago on Eat, Drink, Smoke that we do with Tony Katz, or I do with Tony Katz, and they often, especially if you're a Democrat, if you could just get through a week of any kind of scandal you have in your political career, you may be able to ride the whole thing out because at that point, well, we've moved on. That's old news.
Right, right. Well, Al Franken must be kicking himself then.
Yes. Really?
He caved way too quickly.
Should have just tried to ride it out.
There's still time for him to declare for 2020. We're only up to, I think, 16 at this current moment in time. 16 Democrats, which doesn't count Joe Biden, who isn't official yet.
And, okay, so what's creepier? The Al Franken photo or the many photos and videos of Joe Biden?
That's tough because in the Al Franken picture, isn't she sleeping?
Yeah.
I don't know. You're getting into shades of Cosby with that.
By the way, this week's episode is going to be called Shades of Cosby. For those of you keeping score at home. Yeah, that was so creepy. She had passed out. It looked like there was actually drool coming down from the side of her mouth. And he is got his hands. He's a little handsy.
Yep.
Darn near cupping. I think he claimed he didn't touch him.
Yeah.
Who was that?
It was Leanne Tweeden, was it?
Yeah.
Is that right? And they were on a USO tour or something?
Yeah, and I believe she's right wing, isn't she?
Yes.
So that was, let's face it. I'm actually surprised that he resigned because he did that to a right wing woman, as we know, just dealing with you, Tracy, you're not real because you're not a leftist and you're female. So she's not a real woman. She's not true to her womanhood because she's a right winger, Tracy.
No, but it was the timing of everything. That was just when this Me Too thing was really picking up steam.
Yeah.
And just bowling everybody over.
So one thing that won't be bowling everyone over, apparently for now, are the FEMA cages.
Well, I don't know.
Do we have a name for these? Got to come up with.
No, is it the FEMA train or?
The FEMA train.
Well, I mean, I can just see the spitballing with Trump now that he's saying, hey, guess what? I might do this, which is what he's tweeted out. So he says, due to the fact that the Democrats are unwilling to change our very dangerous immigration laws, we are indeed, as reported, giving strong considerations to placing illegal immigrants in sanctuary cities only. So then he followed that up because he's learned how to do tweet threads with the radical left always seems to have an open borders, open arms policy. So this should make them very happy. So Team Spitball might say, you know what? We have all these FEMA trailers that everybody's always talking about. Do those things have wheels on them? Well, I'd heard some official this week, I think, from DHS talking about they might move some of the trailers into those areas to have more space to hold people. Because I saw the numbers for March, it was like they captured 120,000 people.
Good Lord.
Right.
That's a whole congressional district.
Yes. Where would you like us to put it?
Outside of Nancy Pelosi's gated community. That's where I would like to see it.
Just thinking, wheel those FEMA trailers right to her vineyards.
Oh, boy. What an age to live in.
I know, it's so much fun. Well, it's Alinsky tactics, right? Make your enemies live up to their own book of rules.
Right.
You guys love illegals. Well, the mayor of Philadelphia is out there, Mayor Kenney, saying, yeah, we would love to have them. I bet you the people of Philadelphia don't feel that way, Mayor Kenney, when their schools are complete garbage and public services suck. You're going to dump a whole bunch more people there.
You get empathy points, though, by saying that, Tracy, because you know it's never going to happen.
Though? I don't know if it's never going to happen. They want to play around with dictator Trump, as they like to call him. If they really believe that stuff, they wouldn't be mouthing off like this. Well,
if he really is new Hitler, I would think that he would have no problem loading people on trains, Tracy, and shipping them places because he's new Hitler. So that's what new Hitler does.
Well, it made me think of the cult in Wild Wild Country. I don't know if you watched that doc or not on Netflix.
No.
Well, one of the things they did, they took over this big piece of land. They bought it, not took it over, in Oregon. And then they just kept expanding and expanding. And they wanted to kind of run the town there. So a couple of them got on the city council. And then they decided the state was screwing with them and they wanted to have a bigger voting block. So they sent buses out to major cities and rounded up homeless people and moved them into their little commune and registered them to vote.
Wow.
Yeah. So this was immediately what I thought of. I'm like, just stick them on buses and send them to the cities. And they'll try to get them voting, but does it really matter?
No, I don't know.
In a big city? Meh.
Well, if you can get enough of these states to agree to surrendering their electoral votes to the popular vote, then maybe.
I think Oregon signed on to that this week.
They may have, and then I believe Ohio is looking into it.
Good Lord.
So, well, anyway, so there's that. And then, do you want to go into the spying story?
Sure.
So, we're having a debate over surveillance and whether electronic surveillance is considered spying. And I don't know, Tracy. I would think that most reasonable people would think that electronic spying is electronic surveillance is considered spying.
Yeah, I think they're trying to thread this needle where spying equals illegal activity, nefarious stuff, and surveillance that's okay because that's within the law. So they went through the proper channels. They got FISA warrants, even though, as far as we know, those FISA warrants were based on the Steele dossier, which is complete and utter garbage. And Carter Page, who they got the FISA warrant on, had been an FBI informant prior to working for the Trump campaign.
Well, let's just look at a simple definition of the word spy, okay?
Okay.
Spy, verb, spying. Work for a government or other organization by secretly collecting information about enemies or competitors.
Well, they would claim, Trump wasn't an enemy.
That's funny. So, listen, and this is another story. I don't even know if we want to spend much time on it. We can move over to Julian Assange, but because this story will go away in 3 minutes, because I don't believe that. Do you think that we are going to really have an investigation into how the Russian collusion hoax became an investigation? Do you really believe that's going to happen?
I really do.
I'm skeptical.
I don't think Barr would have said that in the hearing when asked about this kind of stuff if he wasn't seriously going to pursue it.
I hope you're right. There really needs to be another special prosecutor.
Well, he was saying that he was going to head up this investigation, that he would be involved. There wasn't going to be a special prosecutor. But, I mean, is it refreshing to think that maybe we've got somebody in the top law enforcement position that actually cares about the rule of law?
Well, it is. But I believe that because of what happened under the Obama administration, the DOJ, the FBI have been it's so politicized at this point. I think people on the right are going to have a difficult time believing that their reputation can be restored, and that there'll be some sort of focus back on the rule of law and not trying to score points on political enemies, and having the DOJ and the FBI used as a political weapon and willingly be used as a political weapon. I don't know if they can get the reputation back, Tracy.
Well, I mean, the FBI seemingly recovered after Hoover, and he was doing, guess what he was doing? Spying on everyone. You know, that all came out after he died, of course, but that did huge reputational damage to the FBI. I maintain you can't have organizations like this without them going beyond what they're supposed to be doing.
Right.
And we've known about that. I mean, you've got the Snowden stuff from what is that now? 5-6 years ago? That the NSA spying on everybody. So I remember when Trump first had those tweets out, like he was getting spied on. We're like, well, we're all getting spied on. So everybody can calm down about, oh my God, nobody was spying on him. You're out of your minds. We know they were.
If it's not the government spying on you, it's major corporations spying on you.
Yes.
I mean, the story came out this week. If you have an Alexa in your home, there are tens of thousands. What was it, 160,000 employees? Was that the number? I skimmed the story.
Yeah.
That they're listening in.
Of course they are.
Do you have an Alexa in your home?
I do. I leave it unplugged unless I want to listen to music on it.
Oh, they can still listen to you even when it's unplugged.
How is that possible?
There's a secret battery that you don't know about.
Right.
That charges when it's plugged in, and when you unplug it, it actually it won't function the way you want it to. If you say, Alexa, play Tom Petty. That's for all of our friends out there who have an Alexa in their room and are listening. They're now hearing Tom Petty. It won't work for you, but it still has enough battery power to be able to listen in on you and spy on you. That's what I saw on InfoWars.
Okay.
So, you know.
Yeah, well, it's been unplugged for 2 months, so I'm guessing I killed that battery.
Oh, it's a high-tech battery. It actually...
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, the battery life on that is 3 months. So you still have a month to go. But no, if it's not the government, it's corporations. Did you see this piece? It's really chilling when you sit down and think about how Google has its tentacles into our lives. And someone tried to kind of divorce himself from Google, and come to find out it's damn near impossible now. If you want to do anything, even like get an Uber, they use Google Maps.
Oh, yeah.
So
and
you could
Google
download...
owns Waze now, right, too?
Yeah, I believe you're right. So everyone's spying on us, whether it's the government or corporations. So, yeah, you're right. When the Trump administration, when Donald Trump claims, well, the Obama administration was spying on me, I think pretty much everyone was like, yeah, probably. The only people who don't want to go along with that are Democrats and people in the mainstream media, because that would make Trump a sympathetic figure.
Well, it's just stunning, though, that, Brennan got busted. The CIA was spying on the Senate Intelligence Committee. They never bring that up. You didn't see Dianne Feinstein run to a microphone and say, you know what? I was spied on, too. This is out of control that these intelligence agencies think that they can just undermine elected officials by spying on them and pay no attention to my Chinese spy driver. Right.
Now, this should scare the hell out of everyone. If this can happen to the president of the United States,
mm-hmm.
You're just watching or listening to this podcast at home, Joan Q. Public, just terrify the hell out of you that they could do that to the president. What could they do to you?
Right. Well, we know that if they want you in jail, they'll find a way. It's like that poor sap that made the video that they blamed the Benghazi attacks on. How fast did they have that guy in jail? Was it a week?
Yeah,
for parole violation because he had used a fake name on that movie, and that was part of his parole was you can't use a pseudonym
on a YouTube video.
Yeah, that had nothing to do with the attack on the embassy or the consulate or whatever we were calling it, the annex and the makeshift embassy.
In the government's defense, it is awful to use a pseudonym on the internet.
Yeah.
That's never happened before. I could see where that would be a violation of someone's parole. Wow. We need to do that needs to be a regular segment on this show. And here I am spitballing, Tracy. Where are they now? I would like to know where this poor schmuck is. Is he still in jail?
No, I don't believe so. I think he got released. His name was Nicola Basili Nicola. He's got the same first and last name.
Oh, you wouldn't use a pseudonym with that name?
Of course I would. So Mark Basili Youssef, formerly known as Nicola Basili Nicola, born in 1957, is an Egyptian-born U.S. resident who is a writer, producer, and promoter of Innocence of Muslims, an anti-Islamic video which was accused of denigrating Islam's prophet Muhammad. So, yes, I believe that he is out of jail now, weeks after his... I don't know. Yeah, as of November 2015, this is according to Wikipedia, he was living at a Los Angeles homeless shelter and working part-time at a pizza parlor.
Life ruined.
Because they needed somebody to blame for that attack.
He was just a patsy.
He was. It was like Richard Jewell.
Yeah.
And I believe Mueller was involved in that case.
Was
he? So that was the 96 Olympics in Atlanta. There was a bombing, and it got blamed on this guy, Richard Jewell, who was actually trying to help people. And they blew up. I mean, this is before social media. And his name was everywhere, his face and his name. And so his reputation was destroyed. So.
Boy, that takes me back.
Yeah.
Okay, well, why don't we move on to Julian Assange?
Okay.
Tracy, you follow this stuff a lot more than I do. I freely admit that you really it amazes me. You'll find a story and then you'll go down the rabbit hole and you'll dig deep. I have no doubt that you'll be one of only 50,000 people in the entire United States who will read the full Mueller report when it comes out, and probably have it. You'll read it within the first 5 hours of it coming out. But so I know you know a lot about WikiLeaks. To me, I've got a theory about this story. Of course, Julian Assange was arrested this week, and it looks as though, and we're just speculating at this point, but he'll probably be extradited to the United States.
That seems to be, well, he could be. There's a hearing on that on May the 2nd, whether or not he will be extradited to the United States. But just so everybody knows what this is all about, this is in relation to the Chelsea Manning leaks. And so the indictment is alleging that Assange was trying to help Chelsea Manning hack into a system by getting the password that she needed to get access to these files. So Chelsea Manning already had a security clearance, but was trying to mask her identity when she was going into the system to extract files to give to Assange, and so wanted to use a different identity when doing so to keep anonymity in place. And so Assange encouraged that and allegedly helped to try to break the password. So that's what's going on here, regardless of what you're hearing on TV, where they're saying, oh, this, they're trying to relate this to the Mueller report and the 2016 election and the hacking, or the alleged hacking of the DNC computers and the release of those emails and the Podesta emails. And this has absolutely nothing to do with that. That doesn't mean charges couldn't come
right
in addition to what's already been put down on the indictment that's been released. But so the British have already held a trial for him. So they yanked him out of the embassy on Thursday morning, and he's been in there since 2012. And the reason that he was in there is because he was there was 2 women in Sweden who claimed that he had sexually assaulted them, and the Swedes asked the Brits to grab him up and extradite him to Sweden, and he avoided turning himself in. And so he got hooked up with the Ecuadorians, and they said, no, it's fine, you can live in our embassy and avoid this charge or whatever. And so he ends up living there from 2012 until just a couple days ago. And I heard it described by Cassandra Fairbanks on our favorite network, RT, on our friend Scotty Nels Hughes' show, that it was kind of like a prison with a kitchen, the room that he was living in. So this man has not been outside in 7 years. There was a balcony that he was sometimes out on, but that hasn't happened, and they took away his internet access sometime last year. And so he gets dragged out of there and immediately taken in front of a British judge who finds him guilty of not turning himself in and jumping bail and all this kind of stuff. And then they set an extradition hearing for the United States on May 2nd. But what I'm reading is that it's probably going to take a lot longer than that, the whole process of whether or not the Brits will turn him over to us and this and that. And then you've got American politicians, specifically it was Rand Paul came out and said he thinks he should be offered immunity or a pardon in exchange for information, which I don't think, given the lengths that Assange has gone to keep sources secret, and, you know, he could have bargained away information a long time ago for his freedom. I don't think this is, I really think that he has principles, which is so rare these days, that he believes in and won't violate, that I don't think there's a deal in the offing for him.
I don't think so either. And what I find interesting about this story, I don't feel like many people outside of Washington, D.C. care about this, and within the media bubble. And here's why. I don't know
about that. I think a lot of people think of him as a hero, but go ahead.
Well, I because I'm talking about when it comes to people who are concerned with politics and scoring political points against an enemy. Sure. He has pissed off both Republicans and Democrats. And he's also pissed off the mainstream media for going around the legacy media for these reports. It's comical to me. Some of the stuff that he is being criticized for publishing, if that stuff would have been leaked to the New York Times or the Washington Post, they would have done the same thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, everybody points to the Pentagon Papers.
Right.
They had no problem putting those out.
So, to me, I think that there's a lot of anger and jealousy, depending on who we're talking about, whether, the anger is coming from Democrats and Republicans who are angry with Assange for the things that he has published. And you've got media people who are pissed off because of the stories that he broke and how he went around traditional legacy media to get that done. I don't know if people on the street really care about this story. The people who pay attention to a lot of this stuff, the political Twitter, political Facebook, you're right. I think a lot of people think he's a hero. I think there are a lot of people who are indifferent because they look at this and they say, well, gosh, stuff is leaked to newspapers every day, and they print that. And a lot of it's supposed to be classified. And there isn't this big stink like there is with Julian Assange.
Right.
To me, what I find fascinating about the story is Chelsea Manning, who you may consider more of a villain in the story than Julian Assange if you're mad about what was leaked. Julian Assange is going to and has paid more of a personal price for this than Chelsea Manning.
Chelsea Manning spent a decent amount of time in jail.
Well, okay. Assange just spent 7 years basically in jail. It was right, by choice.
But politicians look at that and they say, well, that's not jail. They're not under our control.
Right.
He's been living in this embassy deal. I think one of the biggest problems with this story is the political aspect of it. There isn't one side, one side's not going to line up behind him because he's pissed off both sides.
Yeah.
So anybody that's watching can see I found this excellent meme of the political guide to WikiLeaks, and it just has the dates of the releases and then running down the right column. It almost looks like the Brady Bunch layout. So it's like the Guantanamo Bay files are released in 2007. The Democrats are like, yay, and it's Peter Griffin. And then the Republicans are pissed. Then it's 2008. Sarah Palin's emails come out. Democrats happy, Republicans angry. 2009, climate data they put out. Democrats are mad, Republicans are happy. Then the 2010 Iraq war crime video, which is what Chelsea Manning leaked. Democrats are happy, Republicans are angry. And then 2016, you've got Hillary and the emails, Democrats mad, Republicans angry, happy. So there isn't like, oh, my team thinks this, so therefore I should hate him or love him. And I don't know. I kind of like it. I dig it all around. I want to know what bad stuff our government's up to and other world governments. And there's some thinking that this happened because there's a fairly new president in Ecuador, Lenin Moreno, I believe is his name. And there was recently documents leaked to somebody else that involved financial dealings that his brother was wrapped up in that don't look too good. And then there's another aspect where the IMF is giving them a big chunk of change or something. So it gets really kind of convoluted. But he gave up Assange after all these years.
Yeah, wasn't there something about there was a theory floated, or is there something about the story where Ecuador offered to give him up in exchange for debt relief?
I believe that's part of the deal. And I don't know if that's what the IMF is involved in or not, but they're getting something out of this. It's not like all of a sudden he woke up one day and was just like, you know what, I'm sick of having that guy sleeping in this room at the embassy. It's really annoying.
It has to be weird. He's there for
Which
7
part
years.
Of it? Yeah. Yeah.
So, well, it'll be interesting going forward. You said the hearing is in May.
Yes, May 2nd is when they're having the extradition hearing. Supposedly, who knows? When it comes to legal matters, things always get extended and stuff like that. And I don't know how the British court system works, aside from the fact that they wear those funny wigs.
So
they call them barristers.
Yes, and this helped to breathe life back into the Russian hoax story. People are still trying to. I've seen on many occasions where they've accused Julian Assange of being a Russian agent. Mm-hmm. And that's the other thing, too, about the story that I find troubling is because of what has happened in the past 2.5 years, I just don't know what to believe anymore. I don't know what to believe anymore. Look, maybe there was some Russian financial backing when it comes to WikiLeaks, and who the hell? I don't know.
But ask yourself if that was true. I mean, I guess they would go to lengths to keep that as quiet as possible so they wouldn't smuggle him out of the embassy and bring him to Moscow or something like that in the middle of the night. But they could have arranged for maybe Venezuela to take him. You know, they have some client states still that exist, little puppet regimes around the world. They could have given him sanctuary somewhere else in exchange for that. Like, what would he get out of working for the Russians? And what does WikiLeaks get out of it?
That's a question that is unanswered. But I don't trust anyone in the media, especially the American media, to report on this story. The credibility of CNN is completely shot. At least at one point, look, you knew they kind of leaned left, but you would hope you get more of a down the middle analysis from CNN as you knew what you're getting from MSNBC. You knew what you were getting from Fox. But now CNN has in the last 2 years tried to out MSNBC, and you can't do that. Your CNN, no. you can't do that, and you're getting your clock cleaned by MSNBC because you not only have you destroyed your reputation now you're trying to out MSNBC, MSNBC. Well, the left already has MSNBC. They don't need you. And the right thinks you're a complete piece of shit. So that's why there are old Billy Mays infomercials that are beating you in the ratings.
Oh, man. Well, one of the things that just lends credence to that was where... Now I got to find this again. It was so excellent. Oh, here it is. America's favorite creepy porn lawyer. Second set of indictments came down this week for him. And to underscore how much the media loved this guy and promoted him, Glenn Greenwald tweeted out this awesome compilation of all the lauding of Michael Avenatti.
Worst nightmare, Michael Avenatti.
Joining us once again is Michael Avenatti.
Let's bring in Michael Avenatti.
Michael Avenatti. Michael Avenatti.
Michael Avenatti, thank you very much.
He's out there saving the country.
Don Meacham says he may be the savior of the republic.
You are something of a folk hero now.
I owe Michael Avenatti an apology. I've been saying enough already, Michael. I've seen you everywhere. What do you have left to say? I was wrong, brother. You have a lot to say. I am just dying to hear what you think.
These people all like you.
I'm the only person right here Donald Trump fears more than Robert Miller.
We think you guys are the tip of the spear that's going to take down Donald Trump.
Michael Avenatti's a beast.
Okay, that's true.
And he's
a beast.
He's a beast.
I hand it to her, and I hand it to Michael Avenatti.
But he has a bigger calling here. That being a lawyer is minimal compared to what he's doing.
No one has talked tougher directly to Donald Trump on TV than Michael Avenatti. And Donald Trump is afraid to mention his name.
That's fascinating.
Donald Trump is terrified of Michael Avenatti.
He gives Trump a run for his money more than anybody else, Michael Avenatti.
An existential threat to the Trump presidency.
The Democrats could learn something for you. You are messing with Trump a lot more than they are.
He has no doubt created sheer panic in Donald Trump's very fragile mind.
Michael Avenatti is laying down the law as guest co-host. And is he really thinking about running for president?
One reason why I'm taking you seriously as a contender is because of your presence on cable news.
You look at the field of Democrats right now, and Avenatti's the one who stands out.
If they decide they value a fighter most, people would be...
Oh. Sorry. But Avenatti is going down hard. So the other indictments that came out for him before, that was in a New York court. This is a Los Angeles judge. 36 counts of fraud, perjury, failure to pay taxes, embezzlement, and other financial crimes. So he stole millions from his clients. And if you want to know how big of a piece of shit this guy is, one of the clients he stole from is a gentleman named Jeffrey Ernest Johnson, who is a mentally ill paraplegic on disability. Mr. Johnson won a $4 million settlement against the Los Angeles County. That money was then wired to Avenatti. And guess what he did with it?
He kept it and didn't tell his client.
That's correct. Mr. Avenatti spent the money. He spent the money on his car racing team. I'm not kidding you. So
I'm laughing not because I think this. He's just such a piece of shit.
He really is. So after getting that $4 million, the indictment says Avenatti did not tell Johnson the money had arrived. He soon funneled most of the money through multiple bank accounts, and it landed in the accounts of GB Autosport, LLC, which managed Avenatti's race car team, and Global Baristas US, his troubled Seattle coffee company, according to the indictment. In just over 5 months, Avenatti had spent the entire $4 million, but never told Johnson, who, let's remind everybody, is a mentally impaired paraplegic. So the grand jury alleged instead, over the next 4 years, he paid Johnson a total of $124,000 in installments ranging from $1,000 to $1,900 and made some of his rent payments. He falsely told Johnson the payments were advances on a county settlement payment that had not arrived yet. So then in 2018, Mr. Johnson asks Avenatti to send him information on the settlement so that he can give it to the Social Security Administration so they could gauge his eligibility for disability payments. says, knowing full well that the requested information could lead to inquiries that could reveal the embezzlement, Avenatti ignored his request, causing the government to cut off his disability payments 2 months ago. This guy was going to be their savior.
So
I
I'm
can't
assuming
think of anybody more vile. Can you? I mean, that's just it's so disgusting.
And the people that would march him out and let him go unchallenged attacking the president probably at this point still think that he's a better person than Donald Trump.
Yes. You're right.
Boy, side-by-side comparison, he really makes Stormy Daniels look like an angel.
Yes. She didn't do anything wrong in all of this. I don't think that she's stolen $4 million from a mentally handicapped paraplegic.
Yet.
Yeah, that's true.
Days young.
Larry Flint's still alive, right?
That I don't know. But no, I by the way, on a side note, I there's a site called Cameo that you can get on Cameo, and it's a site where you can hire celebrities, whether athlete, comedian, actors, models, YouTube stars, to record a video message, either to yourself or to a friend. Hey, happy birthday. Stormy Daniels is on Cameo. You can hire Stormy. Yeah, you can hire Stormy Daniels to wish you a happy birthday, or wish your friend a happy birthday, or wish them success on a new job. $250 to hire Stormy Daniels. And what's really funny is when you go on her page.
Fingers, you're wrong. She's raised her price.
Oh, it was $250 yesterday. What is it now?
She's up to $300 now.
Wow. Well, and the funny thing is, if you click on one of the videos, these videos are like 10 seconds long. There's no thought put behind them at all. Like, if you get on some of these other videos, like Gilbert Gottfried's on there, he'll give you a minute and a half, and he'll have you cracking up. Norm Macdonald has done. I actually did a video for a friend of mine. He told a whole joke and included, made my friend the main subject of the joke. Minute and a half. Stormy Daniels just like, hi, you may think I'm hot. I just want to let you know I want to wish Jim a happy birthday. And then that's it. And then she collects now $300 to do that. God bless.
I want to play one of these now.
Hi, Ken. Stormy Daniels here, and I want to wish you best of luck in your new venture. Starting a new business is hard work. So best wishes to you, Julie, and Kirk.
Wow.
$300.
Did she even put makeup on? I can't tell.
No. And look, I've met a lot of women in the movement who do what they can to get the right angle on every photo and every video. You look at that one video, if you could go back to that, I don't know if that's a pain in the ass, but there's one video, the first video, she's like sitting like on the couch, lean back, and it's like like an awful angle, and it's just, I don't give a shit. I'm just gonna.
She's kind of hunched over.
Yeah.
She looks like even annoyed a little bit.
Yeah. But that Cameo is a thing. Caitlyn Jenner
yes.
is on there. And for the description of Stormy Daniels there, it says what? Porn star, whatever.
It says adult film star, author, award-winning director, and adult film star. Penthouse pet of the century, best-selling author, troll slayer. So she's already worked with Larry Flint, right? Is he Hustler or Penthouse?
Hustler.
Oh, okay. So she... maybe they run in the same circles. Well, he doesn't run anywhere. He just goes in circles.
So, in the description, it will say something like that. Caitlyn Jenner doesn't say former athlete, doesn't say reality TV star. Her description, icon.
Oh.
and she wants $2,500 for a video. $2,500, and the video is as long as that right there and has as much thought put into it as that right there. So I don't criticize Stormy Daniels or Caitlyn Jenner icon for being a part of this. Oh, do you have Caitlyn up?
Yes.
Go down. You got to play this video. The one in the middle.
Okay.
Spencer.
Hi, Spencer. It is Caitlyn Jenner here, and I want to wish you a happy birthday. Happy birthday. No, I'm going to save you on that one. But anyway, one thing I've learned, and that is to wear your seatbelt if you want to make it to 24. Okay? So, new resolution for 23 is wear your seatbelt.
Unbelievable.
Wear your seatbelt when you're in a car with me, especially, because I'm not the best driver. Just gonna throw that out there.
That's a pretty good impression. Fingers.
Oh, thank you. I do that in the car when I'm by myself. I say Assange, and I do it in the Caitlyn Jenner voice. Assange.
Oh, that works pretty well.
Yeah, thanks. Holy shit! Complete lack of self-awareness. Was that a grandma that she ran over? I can't remember. She ran over a woman, killed a woman, right?
Yeah, she didn't run her over. She hit her.
Oh,
she was in another car.
She was in another car.
Yes.
And it was her fault.
Yes. She was being chased by the paparazzi. So it says she paid out $800,000 settlement.
Rich people.
Yeah.
Just throw some money at the problem and it'll go away. That stuff never changes. Vince Neil, he spent 30 days in jail for, he was drunk, crashed his car, the passenger in the car died, 30 days in jail. See if that happens to either one of us. We only get the 30-day treatment. 800 grand got her out of any kind of trouble. Amazing.
Yep. And there weren't any charges, I don't think, ever.
And there she is sitting on her couch.
Hi, Spencer. Wear your seatbelt.
What a world.
But I want to know who was filming that, too, because it was all over the place. It's like, oh, we're just partying up for Spencer's birthday. You got to get in the right frame of mind here to make these birthday celebration videos.
I think it was the ghost of Katharine Hepburn was filming.
Oh, it does sound like she's trying to affect a Hepburn speech pattern there.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, so we need to start a GoFundMe to hire Caitlyn Jenner to recite lines from On Golden Pond, just
there
for our own amusement. Yo, poo! You kids under the age of 50, go to Netflix and see if it's still available. But no, wow, complete lack of self-awareness. Unreal. Well, we're almost an hour in, Tracy. Do you want to call it quits, or do you want to talk about our good friend Jussie Smollett?
Oh, Jussie Smollett. We got to keep the folks up to date with the latest in the Smollett story. So, this week,
Smollett,
Chicago,
of course, is French for piece of shit.
Correct. Oui. So, Chicago made good on their threat, and they have filed a civil suit against our actor, Jussie Smollett. So this is from CBS Chicago, or ABC Chicago, excuse me. The city of Chicago has filed a lawsuit against actor Jussie Smollett for the cost of overtime police spent investigating an attack they say he staged. So the city of Chicago's law department filed the suit after he failed to meet a city-demanded deadline to pay more than $130,000 into an allegedly staged attack. Then, so they published the complaint. And in that complaint, we found out some pretty cool stuff that we didn't know before. So they say, here's the factual allegations portion of this. Defendant orchestrates and plans a fake attack. So it says, in the fall of 2017, defendant became friends with an individual named Bimbola Osundario, who now we'll call Abel from now on, who is 25 years old and has worked with the defendant on Empire. During the course of their friendship, defendant and Abel socialized and exercised together. I think that's euphemistic, don't you? And the defendant occasionally asked for Abel's assistance in obtaining recreational drugs. On the morning of January the 25th, 2019, the defendant texted Abel asking when Abel would be leaving on his upcoming trip to Nigeria with Abel's 27-year-old brother, Ola Binjingo, who we'll call Ola from now on. Abel responded to the defendant via text that he and Ola were scheduled to depart on the evening of January the 29th. After Abel confirmed the date of the time of his trip, the defendant texted Abel, "Might need your help on the low. You around the meetup and talk face to face?" That same day, January 25th, 2019, GPS records and video evidence indicate that the defendant drove Abel from Empire's Cinespace studio to Abel's apartment. During the ride, defendant stated that he was unhappy with the way his employers handled a racist and homophobic letter he had received 3 days earlier, and as a result, he wanted to stage an attack where Abel would appear to batter him. Video evidence shows that the defendant and Abel reached Abel's apartment at approximately 5 p.m. on January the 25th. When they arrived, Ola, who was then living with Abel, came out of the apartment and sat with defendant and Abel in defendant's vehicle.
Okay, hold on a second. Don't you find it chilling that they have video evidence of that?
Yes.
It's really scary how much of our lives is being videotaped when you're out in public that you're unaware of, and it could be street cameras, it could be your neighbor who has a Ring.
Yeah, it could be an ATM camera. It could be. There's cameras everywhere.
Stunning. Go ahead. Didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no problem. So after Ola attested to his trustworthiness, the defendant and Abel and Ola, now the Ansandario brothers as we go forward, Ansandario, discussed their plan to stage a fake racist and homophobic attack on defendant. Defendant directed the Osundario brothers to stage the fake attack on the evening of January the 28th, 2019, near his apartment building on Streeterville, or in Streeterville, excuse me. The defendant and Ansandario brothers agreed that the Ansandario brothers would catch defendant's attention and the fake attack would begin when the Ansandario brothers called the defendant Empire F, Empire N. That's our go signal fingers. All right, here's where it gets juicy. On January the 27th, 2019, video, GPS, and text message evidence indicates that the defendant met with the Ansandario brothers to finalize the details of the staged attack. On that day, the defendant drove the Ansandario brothers to the location where he wanted the staged attack to take place, which was the corner of New Street and North Water Street in Chicago, Illinois. At that location, defendant directed the Ansandario brothers' attention to a surveillance camera, which defendant believed would capture the incident, which that didn't end up happening, obviously. Somehow they screwed this up. I think I had read somewhere that the camera was turned the wrong way on the night that this all went down. So this was supposed to be captured on video. The defendant and the Ansandario brothers coordinated the details of the fake attack. They agreed that Abel would attack the defendant, but would not hurt him too badly and would give defendant a chance to appear to fight back. Remember, what did he say? He's the gay Tupac? Oh, they also discussed having the Ansandario brothers place a rope around the defendant's neck and pour liquid on him. I've never understood the liquid part. Have you?
Oh, it's supposed to be bleach, right?
Yeah, but for what? I don't understand.
Are they trying to
come up with that.
bleach his skin?
I guess that's what they do in MAGA country. So the defendant told the Ansandario brothers that he wanted the attack to take place the following night at 10 p.m. and instructed them not to bring their cell phones with them. So the defendant provided Abel with a $100 bill to purchase the clothing and materials needed for the staged attack. So during the same conversation in which the defendant and the Osandario brothers planned the fake attack, defendant also gave Abel a $3,500 personal check made payable to Abel. The memo line of the check contains the words 5-week nutrition workout program, and then parenthetically, don't go. I don't understand. So it says video evidence confirms that on January the 28th, 2019, the Osandario brothers purchased a rope at a hardware store and clothing items at a beauty store. Abel deposited the check the defendant gave him into Abel's bank account on January 28th. The following day, he transferred half of it to his brother's account, basically. So then what happens is Smollett's flight gets delayed, so he doesn't get back on the 28th. He instead gets back on the 29th. So he calls them after he lands, which is at 12:30. He called them at 12:49, spoke to Abel on the phone, and during this call, the defendant told Abel the attack should take place at 2 a.m. at the agreed-upon location. So then minutes later, Ola orders an Uber to pick up the two brothers from their house. They took an Uber to the 1400 block of North Wells, where they then flagged down a taxi that took them within 3 blocks of the agreed-upon location. So they're trying to cover their tracks. Pretty smart, right? But the taxi's in-car video captures the brothers flagging the car and riding in the back seat. So then these poor guys, remember how cold it was this night? This was the polar vortex.
Right.
From approximately 1:22 a.m. until approximately 2:03 a.m., video evidence shows the Ansandario brothers on foot in an area bordered by Lakeshore Drive in Columbus, Illinois Avenue, and Chicago River. So video evidence shows the defendant returning to his apartment at 1:30. At 1:45, the defendant left his building to walk to a subway. Who knew they had 24-hour subways?
What a world we live in.
I know. And then at 2 a.m., the surveillance video evidence shows the Ansandario brothers waiting near New Street and North Water Street, right where they were told to be. And then during an interview the defendant gave on ABC's Good Morning America, which aired on February the 14th, he positively identified the people shown in a still of this surveillance video as his attackers. The two men in the still video are the Ansandario brothers. Shortly after 2 a.m., the Ansandario brothers staged their attack on the defendant. After the staged attack, the Ansandario brothers ran from the location, flagged a taxi, and were dropped off near their home at approximately 2:25 a.m. So all this stuff would have come out in a criminal case, but since that's not going to happen, they found another way to get all this information out to us. So it continues and tells how the cops came to talk to Jussie. He lies, as we all know, et cetera, et cetera. But I like having the rest of the story now.
And I'm sure this has been widely reported on all of the major cable news networks. And
of course.
With just as much of a focus as they had when the first stories broke of this awful attack by the MAGA stormtroopers, right?
In the polar vortex. But I also found this on the Twitters thanks to a great Twitter feed and a website called CWB Chicago, where they follow all kinds of Chicago crime stories, and they've been all over this case. So they had tweeted this out. They retweeted this person's tweet that says, tonight at the Chicago Golden Glove Finals, Abel Ansandario overpowered his opponent from the start. So this is one of the dudes that Jussie had fake beat his ass. This is how... Oh, yeah, let's get a guy that's an amateur boxer to play fake hit me.
I think the most important thing, when he did appear back on camera with the noose around his neck, there was no Subway sandwich harmed in the filming of the hate crime hoax, which is really important when it comes down to it. was amazing how he was able to fight that guy off and his brother, and the sub was unharmed.
It's stunning. But can you imagine how much worse this would have been if there was video evidence?
Oh.
If they hadn't screwed that up.
Well, good on Chicago.
Yeah.
Because, now this is not a case that has to be proved beyond a reasonable doubt. It's the preponderance of the evidence in a civil trial, which I believe is slightly above 50%, right?
Correct.
So all
and
this...
they're just going after him for the 130 they asked for before. They haven't upped that.
He would have been smart if he just would have started a GoFundMe. He would have raised the $130,000 in no time and then sent off a check.
Yep.
Now all this is going to come out. And I don't know how. We had a clip, what was it, a week or two ago, of one of his co-stars on The View.
Yes, Therese Henson.
If all this comes out, there will be some diehard believers who think that the Chicago PD is just full of shit and this is all manufactured and Jussie is telling the truth. But if anyone is paying attention to this stuff and reads that, I don't know how you can come away from that if you're a fair-minded person not thinking that Jussie Smollett is a piece of shit.
Right. They've got the phone records. They've got the surveillance video. They've got the brothers telling the whole story. There's the check. I mean, it's just... it's open and shut case. That tells you why the Chicago PD and the mayor were so furious that this got thrown out.
And again, because of money and influence. Now, who knows if there was money exchanged? I would think that it would be very easy to find out if this DA is on the take. But someone used their political influence to get him off.
Yeah.
So whether it's Caitlyn Jenner and her $800,000 check, or it's Jussie and whatever political influence he has to get the strings pulled over at the DA, power, money, that's what they live in. Two different worlds. It's a different world there that they live in than what we live in, Tracy.
Yeah. Well, let's hope that Attorney General Bob Barr is going to start riding that ship.
Well, let's hope. Anything else?
Nah.
Well, that means that we're done here. Thank you for tuning into another Enough Already podcast. Remember to subscribe to the Enough Already podcast on iTunes, and please leave us a 5-star review. And then you can find it also over on SoundCloud and where all good podcasts are sold. And, of course, check us out over on BitChute and YouTube, and subscribe to the YouTube page as well, and find all things Enough Already on our website, enoughalready.us. Find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Enough Already podcast. Follow Tracy on Twitter at Tracy L. Connors. Follow me on Twitter at Fingers Malloy. Final thoughts, Tracy?
I got to go check and see if I'm living in a sanctuary city.
They're already planning on putting the FEMA trailer right in front of your house, Tracy. It's in the works.
Of course.
I'm in Indiana, so I'm quite certain.
I think you're pretty safe.
Pretty safe here. She is Tracy. I'm Fingers. We will be back next week with an all-new Enough Already.